Hi, it's Sarah here from Your True Shelf, and today I thought I'd do a bit of a chat about what it's been like to go back to work after maternity leave. So, as you probably all know, I'm working as a GP, and I had a year off with my second child, which finished on the 9th of April, and that's when I had to go back to work. And I thought I'd just do a little bit about what it's been like to go back to work, because I've learnt a few things from going back, and as I spoke about in the introduction video, I'm having some thoughts about my career and what path that's going to take, so I thought that that might tie in to make something to talk about. So I haven't actually finished my book that I'm reading at the moment, just because I have 2 small children and reading time for me is pretty much limited to just the evenings, because I don't get to read about more than 1.5 sentences without getting interrupted if the children are up. So I am a bit slower reading than I used to be, and for that reason I can't give you a review of my latest book just yet. So going back to work this time, I'm working for a different employer, and they have been really supportive of what it's like to go back to work after you've had a baby, because you sort of feel a little bit like will you remember everything, will you remember how to use the computer system, and it all does come back really quickly, but I am a bit more slow at my timekeeping, which is something that it took me about a month to get into again after I went back to work with my first baby. So this time work have been really kind, and instead of giving me full surgeries as soon as I went back, they've given me a reduced number of patients. So usually at our surgery we have 16 patients in the morning, followed by 10 phone calls, and then in the afternoon we have 14 patients, and in between the morning and the afternoon we have a gap of about depends really, an hour and a half maybe, when we have to do a visit, try and grab something to eat, try and get some of our paperwork done, because we have a lot of paperwork to do. And this time they've let me have 10 appointments in the morning, 10 in the afternoon, and only 5 phone calls. And this has meant that whilst that seemed really difficult to start with because I was pretty slow, it's actually meant now that as I've speeded up a little bit, it's just giving me a bit longer to spend with each person, and it feels so much nicer to have that little bit of time extra. Sadly, I don't think it's something that I'll be able to continue, because there's always a big long waiting list for appointments, like everybody knows who's ever tried to book a doctor's appointment before. And it's just been really nice. So I've been able to ask people more questions about their life, ask people more questions about what they've come in about, explore how what their problem is affecting the rest of their life, like their work, their financial position, if that's necessary, whether anything that's going on in their life, in their house, in their workplace, with their friends is affecting their health. And also when people come in with things which need more time, like mental health problems, it's given me the opportunity to actually dedicate more time with them and not be running as late at the end. So having the longer appointments has been so much nicer, and I think that in the long run it would actually save time, because if I'm able to deal with somebody's problem properly in the initial appointment, they might not have to come back for 2 more appointments to talk about it a bit more, because we managed to cover it in the first time. So I think having less appointments makes for happier doctors, less stressed doctors, doctors with more time, and therefore similar benefits to the patients, because they will then be able to talk about more of the stuff that they actually want to talk about during the consultation. But sadly I don't get really to change the system, so I can just talk about the benefits that I've found being on a reduced schedule. And whilst I will be having to increase my appointments up again, I won't be rushing to do it, because I think that has benefits, as I've just explained, of having less. So that's one thing that I've learned from being back at work. And the second thing is I found it really difficult the first 2 weeks, because I've gone from obviously being at home with my children every day for a year to going back to a really full-on day with long hours. So I leave home around well, before 8 in the morning, and I get home, depends, somewhere around 7ish probably, so it's quite a long day. And then as soon as I get in the door, obviously I want to see the children, they're waiting to go to bed, so it's quite a full-on when I get home as well, until I finally get to sit down, probably about 8:30. And so I really have thought about the importance of self-care. So I know that that's important anyway, and it's been something I've been focusing on for a few years. But I think it's something which can slip by the wayside quite easily. So if you don't dedicate enough time and effort to self-care, I think it can just get shoved to the side, and you can end up, you know, just not taking any time for yourself, which we all need. And it's really important that we don't just rush around like headless chickens all the time, that we try and slow down and try and notice what's going on around us, instead of just, you know, the fast pace that we all live at these days of just going from thing to thing to thing to thing and not really stopping. And any quiet time that we might have, we then think, oh, I know what I can do, I can go and get this done, I can go and get that done. And it's really easy to let your energy levels go down and, you know, fall into low mood and tiredness and other things which can come along with that. So I've really been trying to do that work. So I really often don't have time for a proper lunch break, but what I have been doing is, when it was that beautiful weather last week, I made sure that even if it was for 10 minutes, I just went outside and I sat down in a patch of grass outside the practice, and I just ate something for 10 minutes outside, so I got some fresh air and I got away from the computer screen, because I don't like spending all my day in front of a computer screen. And I walked. We've got a shop quite close by to practice, so another day I just walked to the shop to buy something I needed, and just really small things. They don't have to be great big, let's go on a spa weekend treats. Just small things that you can do to try and make your day, you know, more comfortable and happier. And so that was one thing. I also make sure that I go out of my room just to make myself a drink or something. So I do take a drink to work with me, but instead of just staying with that drink, I will go out and make myself a hot drink, just to, again, make me get out of the room and speak to people and things. So small things like that have helped, because I did struggle initially going back. I was quite unhappy, and it has been a bit easier this last week, which has been really nice. So the other thing I did, I went to see the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society at the cinema, which, if you haven't seen it, I would really recommend. I'll probably do a separate journal entry about films, because I love films so much, and I'll be talking about different films that I've seen as I go along, as well as different books that I've read. But I'd really recommend this film. It's really great. So that's pretty much all I have to say for now. What I think I might do is to do a separate video about career stuff, because, like I said in the introduction, I'm thinking about, well, I am going to diversify in terms of my career, and I have done a careers course recently, and I think there's lessons that I've learnt from that which would help anybody, no matter what career they're in, that have been really interesting. So I think I'll do another video about that. If that would be something that people would like to see, then comment down below. If there's anything else that you'd like me to talk about regarding health, then I'm more than happy to look into it for you. So not really like teaching videos about conditions, I don't mean, but I mean, like, for instance, if there's any aspects of health in general that you'd like me to discuss. And I will be back soon with a review of the book, which I'm hopefully going to finish this weekend, which is The Narrow Road to the Deep North. Okay, so I hope you all have a great weekend, and I will speak soon. Bye.